Okay, 6th grade, this video is for the assignment that I gave you last Wednesday where you are dividing decimals and where you have to round to a given place. So I'm going to do some examples and show you exactly how to do that. Remember, when you round to a certain place, you always divide one place past it. So if we took this 3.2 divided by 14 and we said we wanted to round it to the tenths place, that means that I need to divide one place past the tenths, which would mean I need to divide to the hundredths place. Here this means that the 3.2 goes on the inside, because remember the first number is always on the inside, and the 14 goes on the outside. The first thing we do in dividing decimals is move our decimal up, so I'm going to put that decimal right there. And since I know I have to round to the tenths, then that means I have to divide to the hundredths, which is 2 places past the decimal. I'm going to go ahead and add just 1 0, and that tells me when I've done that 0, dropped it down and have a number above it, I'm done. It doesn't matter how many are left over. Okay, so the first thing I think about is 14 doesn't go into 3, so I can put a 0 right there. And 14 goes into 32 2 times. This 2 times 14 is 28. So I'm going to subtract, and I get 12 minus 8 is 4. Now I can drop this 0 down. And remember, I added that 0 because I know that as soon as I drop it down, I'm done because I want to round to the tenths. 14 goes into 40 also 2 times, because 40 minus 28 is 12. So it doesn't matter that I have a remainder down here because I'm rounding this to the nearest tenth. This 2 is in the tenths place, so I've rounded till I have one place past it, that 2. That 2 will make that one stay the same. So my answer is going to be 0.2. And that's it. We've rounded it. It does not matter that we have a remainder. It makes no difference. So that's how you do that. Let me give you another example. 0.85 divided by 0.6. And this time, let's say we're going to round to the hundredths. So since we're rounding to the hundredths, we're going to divide one place past it, which would be the thousandths. So I'm going to write my problem down. I'd have 0.85 and 0.6. Now the first thing I do before I add any zeros to determine how far I go is I'm going to move the decimal over, so it goes over once here, and I put it right there, so I'm going to move it once here, put it right there, and move it up. Okay, so I'll go ahead and erase this 0 and that right there. And now what I need to think about is I need to have one place past the hundredths. This 5 is in the tenths now. So I add a 0, that's the hundredths. I'm going to add one more 0, that's the thousandths. So we'll use the number that goes in this spot right here to round to the hundredths. Okay? I'm going to erase that. So now we start dividing, and 6 goes into 8 one time. That's 6. I have 2. I can bring down my 5. 6 into 25 goes 4 times. That's 24. I have 1 left over. I can bring down this 0. 6 goes into 10 one time. That's 6. I'm going to move my thing up a little bit. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and move it up here. I have 4 left over. I can bring down this 0, put it right there. And 6 goes into 40 6 times. That's 36, and I'd have 4 left over again. But again, it doesn't matter because I have now rounded one place past the hundredths. This is my hundredths. I look at this 6 that was next when I divided, and that 6 would make the 1 go up, and I now have 1.42. My answer ends in the hundredths, so that is your answer. Let's do another example here. This one's money, and so I'm going to round to the nearest cent. And remember, anytime you round to the nearest cent, it's the same thing as rounding to the nearest hundredth. Okay, that's the exact same thing. It's 2 places past the decimal. So I'm going to put the 583 inside the box. By the way, I hope you guys like the new background. I discovered that I could change the background to black. I actually have a couple other options. I'll try those out just for variety. So I'm going to put my dollar sign up on top. I'm going to go ahead and move my decimal straight up because I don't move anything on the outside. 7 doesn't go into 5, so I'll put a 0 right there. And since I'm rounding to the nearest cent, to the nearest hundredth, I'm going to divide one place past it. Since this is my cents, I'll put one more 0. And once I have a number in this spot right here, I can round to the hundredth. So 7 goes into 58 8 times. That's 56. And I have 2 left over. I can drop my 3 down. 7 into 23 goes 3 times, which is 21. I have a 2, I can drop this down, and 7 goes into 20 just twice, which is 14, and if I subtract, I'd have 2 left over, but again, it doesn't matter that I have 2 left over, because that 2 is going to make this 3, oh, it's not 2, I don't know where I got 2, it's 6, 20 minus 14 is 6, but again, it doesn't matter what I have left over, because I'm at the spot where I can round. This is my cent, it's also the hundredth, so I look at the thousandth place, one place past it, the 2 would make the 3 stay the same, so our dollar amount would just be 83 cents, which is written like that, okay, or like this. So you either use $sign, the decimal point, or the cents and the cent sign. You don't ever use the decimal point and the cent sign at the same time. One more example, 6 divided by 1.3. This looks like you're dividing a smaller number by a bigger number. 1.3 is actually smaller than 6, but if you think about it as 6 divided by 13, it's kind of confusing. But still, you put this number on the inside, 1.3 on the outside, and remember that every whole number has a decimal after it. So this 6 has a decimal right there. So to move this decimal over, I can move it one place and make it 13, and that moves this over one place and makes it 60. Okay, and let's say we wanted to round this to the nearest thousandth. If I'm going to round to the nearest thousandth, that means I need to divide to the 10,000th, which is 4 places after the decimal. Okay, so here's the 10th, there's the 100th, there's the 1000th, which is where I want to round to, but I need to go one place past it. So I'm going to have to divide until I have that 0 dropped down. Okay, 13 goes into 60 4 times. Think about that for a second, which is 52. I do happen to know that. And then 10 minus 2 is 8. If I drop this 0 down, 13 goes into 80 then. 6 times? Yes, 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. That's 6 plus 1 is 7, so 78. And I can have a 2 left. I drop this 0 down. 13 goes into 20. 13 goes into 20. Okay, hope I'm not messing this up too much, but okay, I had accidentally paused it, didn't mean to. 13 goes into 20 just one time, so I'm going to put a 13 under the 20. I subtract, and I have 7, like that, so 10 minus 3 is 7. I'm going to drop this next 0 down to right there, and then I think 13 into 70. Well, I knew 13 went into times 6 was 78, so it's definitely going to be times 5. Pull this down a little further. Right there. And 13 times 5, I happen to know that, is 65. And again, we're waiting until we get to that last 0 that we already started with. So I'm going to drop this last 0 down, and then once I have this, I'll be able to round regardless of what my remainder is. And 13 goes into 50 3 times. 4 was 52, so it won't go 4 times. And 3 times 13 is 39. I do have 11 left, but again, it doesn't matter what's left because I have now rounded to the proper place. So if I look at this, this is my thousandth. I have one place past it, and the 3 would make the 5 stay the same. So my answer would be 4.615, and that last digit is in the thousandth. So that is my answer. If you have questions, feel free to email me using the contactor form, and you can tell me exactly what the problem is. Just write out what it says, and I will be more than happy to write you back and help you out with it. So, as I know some people were having some trouble over the weekend, hopefully the video will help, and if you get stuck, just please let me know. I'm here for you. Talk to you guys later. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.